Thank you, Harriet and Jody. Those are two of my colleagues. Moses has the most amazing staff, and it's a joy to work with everyone. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about our 25 years together and where we've come and where we're going. So for 25 years, this conference has been about sharing and celebrating agriculture. And it's a little time to toot our horn. How do you like that? That's Francis Ticky. Last year at the conference, that is called an alpine horn, and he tooted that horn for us. And that's what we're going to do today. From the very beginning, this conference has been about farmers learning from each other. And all of you, everyone here, is what makes the conference the amazing event that it is. I want to say thank you for joining us today. It's a great time to sort of look back and to think about how this all started and who's kept this event going. Who are these luminaries? You're going to hear 25 of their names as I talk for a few moments. When I reached out to the early conference organizers to find out how did this come together, I was involved, but I got asked after it had started, how did it get going? The funny thing was, nobody wanted to take credit. Everybody said it was someone else's idea. That's just, how it is. And so I really couldn't point to anyone. I wanted to point to Dave Engel, or I wanted to point to somebody, but they were all like, no, no, no. But here's what I do know, is that 25 years ago, a group of farmers got together and formed a co-op called Crop Organic Valley. And those same farmers said, we need a conference. And so, this conference was born. And in 1990, we held our very first conference right here at the Boss House in Wisconsin. Some of the other people that helped get this conference going, and I thought this was a really interesting fact, was that the Western Wisconsin Technical College, and with Gary Kirking's support, loaned us $500. And when I heard that, I was just like really inspired. 25 years ago, there was institutions that wanted to help us get going. And here we are, 90 people the first year, over 3,000 now. So out of this small, humble event grew this absolutely amazing conference. I'd like to say a little bit about just how I got involved and what happened, how my life became this conference. Yep, it's really been a great life. It really has. I just could never imagine. But years before this conference was going, I was a young person who wanted to farm. I was a 20-year-old person who, didn't know anything about agriculture. I told you yesterday I heard Francis Moore-LePay talk about organic farming. I said, that's what I'm going to do. And my parents said, yeah, right. They're my biggest fans now. Well, I went to an organic farming conference from OGBA. Now, if you don't know the acronym, that shows your age, but that's the Organic Growers and Buyers Association. They had this conference in Minnesota, and you guys, there was no organic food. I mean, none. Not tea, not coffee. And I was outraged, and anyone who knows me knows you would not want to experience my outrage. And they said, you get on the planning committee. And I said, I will. And the next year, we served Welsh's organic chicken. Bill Welsh, that's when I first met Bill Welsh. We had organic coffee, and so it began. I spent 2 or 3 years helping with that conference in Minnesota, and I moved to Wisconsin with my 2-year-old daughter, Nina, who's sitting right over here. And Dave Engel gave me a call, and he said, hey, we heard you knew about that conference in Minnesota. We're thinking about getting something going here in Wisconsin. Why don't you help us? And I said, oh, I just would love to. That sounds great. And here I am still 25 years later with this conference. Those early conference luminaries include so many people, and I will name just a few. Dave Engel, I look to Dave as my mentor as a conference organizer. Dave's faith in me early on and his faith in me as Moses was formed has inspired me. Keith Johnson, who I think it might have been his idea for the conference, but he wasn't going to let me say that. Bob Charlo, who was a part of the early planning and organizing. Spark Brewmaster, who provided me with some of the pictures that you'll see in just a little bit. Harriet Behar was at that very first conference and a part of that planning committee. Richard DeWild, for quite a few years, helped us plan and organize our conference. Julie Brussel, Greg Welsh, and myself were all a part of those early years. The very first conference happened at the Boss House here in La Crosse. We had 90 people. Pretty soon there'll be a really fun picture that's going to come up. How many of you were at that conference? Put your hand up. Of course, unfortunately, I can't see a thing with these lights. Thank you for being there and for being there here right now today. The thing I remember about that conference was Elliot Coleman was our first keynote speaker. And when I saw these pictures of Elliot Coleman wearing a Lone Ranger mask, about 2 weeks ago on a Sunday morning, I sent an email to Elliot. I thought, well, someone like Elliot, he doesn't ever check his email. He's not going to see. I said, what was that about? I don't remember. He responded within a couple of hours. This is on a Sunday morning. And he said to me, oh, I remember very clearly. And I'm going to paraphrase because he was very wordy. He said, the Lone Ranger represents those who believe there are silver bullets like pesticides and GMOs, which humans can use to solve agricultural problems. Tonto, on the other hand, representing nature, knows that there is no silver bullet. The answer, of course, is to work with nature and to correct the problems with soil fertility and other tricks, not to just treat the symptoms with chemicals. He said he had a ball giving the talk, and I told him I was going to share his remarks today. He said he liked seeing himself without gray hair. So the first few years, we called this conference the Wisconsin Organic Farming Conference. And then in 1994, we moved to Sinsinawa Mound Center. And I'm sure that if I say, who went to Sinsinawa, I'm going to see hands up there. There, I see? Okay, I can see something now, and I can feel it. We were at Sinsinawa for 6 years, and I really feel like that is where our sense of community and celebration came together. I've kept in touch with some of the nuns at Sinsinawa, and I reached out to them a month ago, and they wanted me to let you all know that we are still in their heart. They started doing special prayers for us last week, and they were really glad to see the pictures that I shared. And then, around 2008, we started to call the conference just the Organic Farming Conference, and now it's simply known as the Moses Conference, as a nice acronym. We've been here in La Crosse at this facility for 13 years. I couldn't believe that. I counted it 3 times. Really? And we are working really hard to listen to you. We understand we're at capacity, and we hope that this kind of over-the-top stage is helping to improve the experience for everybody. Some of our early presenter luminaries include Gary Zimmer, Roger Blowbaum, Doc Holliday, Joyce Ford. Some of those early pioneers have paved the way for the sea of young people that I see at this conference. The very first exhibit happened, at Sinsinawa. It didn't even occur to us to have mugs or sponsors or exhibitors for quite a few years. And this guy, Clyde Mortar from Guy Machinery, he showed up with a display, with a booth, and said, "Can I set this up in the corner?" I said, "Sure you can." He's been here ever since, every single conference. So Clyde, you're probably not here because you're out selling rotavators, but you guys should tell Clyde I called him out. That exhibit hall has now grown to an educational event in and of itself. There's 160 exhibitors, and they are the heart of our conference. We focus hard to have exhibitors that have products and services that relate to organic and sustainable agriculture. And I believe the exhibitors are happy. They've given me feedback that the rearranging of the venue is improving the traffic. But make sure you take a little bit of time, because it closes at 4 p.m. today. Those early years of the conference include a lot of really dedicated volunteers who were on the planning committee. I was a volunteer for the first 7 years. None of us were paid. We just came together. We had a checkbook. That was it. And I just want to name some of them. Planning committee members include David Bruce, Jim Riddle. Jim Riddle still continues to do a lot, for those of you that got to see his mug display. Patty Burston, Kamyar and Cheyenne, who I actually got to see just a little bit ago. Prescott Berg, Judy Hageman, and Bobby Zirkle, just to name a few. In 2000, an organization called the Midwest Organic and Sustainable Education Service, MOSES, was created. And one of the key reasons was that this conference needed a home. It needed a place to be. And even more than that, we realized there needed to be more year-round educational activities. So at first, the conference was what we did. I was hired as the first part-time employee, and my job was to continue managing the conference. They gave me $1,000 to get started this time. And have we grown? There's 12 employees now. Oh, I really want to say who ran the conference before Moses, because this is important. And the Wisconsin OCIA chapter #1, for those of you that have been around, that was the biggest certifying organization here in the state. They managed this conference, and they formed Moses. They did all the logistical work of creating a 501c3. It was Dave Engel's idea that this event needed its own home. And a big thank to Dave and to those early board members who were committed to ensuring this conference and education went on forever and ever. The Moses office has grown. At first, it was a trailer house on my farm, a little tiny, really funky trailer house. And we have now grown to 12 employees and a Main Street office in downtown Spring Valley. That's actually 4,000 square feet. I predicted that we needed 2,000 square feet. Within about 1 year, we're using every single inch of that beautiful office. I want to invite all of you, if you are ever near Spring Valley, Wisconsin, to please stop by our office. It's an open door. We have a beautiful library. We loan out books. We love to say hi to you. There's a specialist on hand. Please do come visit us. As this conference grew, so did our staff. And oh boy, do I work with some wonderful, wonderful people. I'll name a few. Jody Padgham, Harriet Bihar. Those are the lovely ladies that started us today. Angie Sullivan and Joe Pedretti are our 2 other specialists, and they have helped this conference become the stellar event that it is today. And for many, many years, Chris Blanchard coordinated the workshops. And more than that, Chris set up systems and a database to help the conference and Moses grow and be organized. And I want to give a special shout out to Chris and a little hand. As Chris always does, we still get good input. And oh, how this conference has grown. I love to say it's the largest organic farming conference in the known galaxy. I used to say galaxy, and someone said known galaxy, if you say it right. So. And an event this size takes many, many, many volunteers. And we have been so fortunate to have many long-time conference volunteers. I'm going to name just a few. Ryan Evans, who has made the conference look beautiful. What you see behind me, those are all from Ryan's farm, right here in Wisconsin, all the woody plants. He's done the flowers. I was a flower grower for 15 years, so it was really important to me to have flowers, so he's done the flowers. But more than that, he's been here from Wednesday morning until we are out of the building to make sure that everybody is happy and healthy. The Milky family, who many of you know, Ann, Amy, Dan, Robin. For many years, they were just, the whole family came. Richard Bry, who is the guy running copy machines, the quiet guy you never hear anything from, he's been coming back year after year after year. The Erdman family, and Edwan Yeltek, who used to like to say he was Faye's slave, and I told him he had to take that off his name tag a few years ago. For 15 years now, Barry and Judy George, with Organic Voices, have been audio recording the very important voices and lessons learned at this conference through audio recordings. After incredible dedication to preserving this oral history, they are retiring, and Moses is taking over those audio recordings, and we will now have them available on our website. You can buy them on site from Rhino Technologies, but in about a month you'll be able to buy this conference plus past conferences on our website. And I really wanted to give a shout out to Barry and Judy, and are you in the room here? I can't see. Oh, they're going to stand up. Someone's pointing to them. I really want to say thank you, Barry and Judy. Maybe they're not. I think you all know that oral history is a really, really amazing way to learn. And I'm so glad that not only is Moses going to have the conference history, but a generous grant from the Series Trust is going to ensure that this entire collection, including programs, photos, is going to be preserved at the Wisconsin Historical Society. And I'm really excited. I just got the news about that. There have been many people involved in shaping and growing this conference through the years. I've named just a few in my remarks today, and they are but a few who have tirelessly worked to help this conference grow. And I want to say that everyone who's here today, all of you, are shedding light and illumination on the good food movement. Thank you for being a part of transforming agriculture. And together, all of us are changing the way America farms. Thank you.